Okay, sir. Sir.
Very good evening, everyone. Today we are going to talk about a new topic. It is about socialism. As students who follow political science in advanced level, I think you may aware about this topic because this topic is there in advanced level syllabus, political science curricula. So because of that, some of you have received the opportunity to study this topic when you were studying in advanced level classes. But in line with our curricula of POL 311, Modern Political Ideologies, we want to study this topic, this theme within apply a very broader perspective. We want to go in depth and we want to have very good understanding. Uh, that's why we are going to talk about this topic, right? If you have any questions, clarifications, or if you want to add something, anytime you can intervene and you can add, right? You can talk. This is a free space. This is yours, so you can use it to maximize your knowledge, experience, and competence level. So first of all, we want to see how the term originated, right? Origin and development of the concept as an ideology. The term socialist derives, next bullet, from the Latin word sociare. Then the third bullet, it means combination or to share. It means the term socialism. Oh, what's the Tamil term for socialism, Shamila or Mohanambal or Rosal? How it pronounced in Tamil?
Socialism, sir.
What?
Socialism. Same way, sir.
Sorry.
In Tamil also pronounced socialism, sir.
Socialism. Similar mean, right? Okay. Then the term socialism or socialist uh, derived or originated from the Latin word. What's the Latin name of Latin word? The Latin word was sociare. Then we can say the term socialism derived from the Latin term sociare. In Latin, it means the combination of the people or share among the people. That's the meaning of sociare in Latin, right? So then we can have brief idea about what is socialism. It is about something which is saying combination of the people, or it is something which is promoting sharing values or sharing materials among the people, right? Is it clear? So in my second slide, now I'm going to talk about when it was originated first time, right? Its earliest usage was in 1827 in Britain in an issue of the cooperative magazine. It means the term socialism was firstly used in Great Britain in 1827. It was mentioned in printed media, the cooperative magazine. Printed media, the cooperative magazine. Then we can say we can find the term socialism, which was published in United Kingdom in 1827 from the article from the magazine of Cooperative Magazine, or from the article uh, of the Cooperative Magazine, right? Please remember the term, remember the year. It was used in 1827. Some students I have experienced, when they're going to mention these years and other names, sometimes because of their complicated mindset, or sometimes they are very hurry, so then they use wrong years. For example, they may use 1927. So if they write it, or if they mention it as a 1927, then it is completely wrong. The term socialism was firstly used in Great Britain in 1827 in the article of Cooperative Magazine, right, in printed media. However, by the early 1830s, the followers of Robert Owen in Great Britain and the followers of Saint Simon in France had started to refer their beliefs as socialism. The followers of Robert Owen in Great Britain and Saint Simon in France, they started to refer by themselves as socialist. Therefore, they started to use the term socialism to introduce their beliefs, right? By the time of 1830s, I will say it again. By the time of 1830s, Robert Owen in Great Britain and Saint Simon in France and their followers, they started to use socialism to introduce their beliefs. They started to use the term socialist by themselves to introduce them. Right? Is it clear? However, by
Yes,
the
sir.
by the 1840s, thank you, 1840s, the term socialism and socialist, the socialism means the ideology, right? Socialist means the person who is following this ideology, the person who is following socialism as his or her ideology, right? The term was familiar in Europe at the time of 1840s with the emergence of industrialization, right? As you know, at the time of 18th and 19th century, the process of industrialization was there in Europe, right? With the emergence of industrialization, what was happened? The liberalism emerged to justify it. Liberalism as a political ideology, it emerged to justify, to protect the emergence of industrialization, the rapid growth of industrialization. On the other hand, the industrialization process in Europe, especially in Great Britain, it produced number of bad effects, number of bad socio-economic conditions. malnutrition, unemployment, right? So then health issues, housing problems, the problems of urbanization, number of issues were created by the process of industrialization at the time of industrial revolution in Great Britain, right? So then it requires or it required a new socio-political theory. It required or socio-economic conditions of that time required new political theory or new political ideology to raise these issues. What are the issues? Malnutrition, housing problem, health problem, problems of the urbanization, the problem of the labor behaviors, right? It required new political theory and ideology to raise, to bring these issues to the other society and the government. Because liberalism was already there, it was there to protect and legitimize the origin and growth of the process of industrialization. In this circumstance, in that circumstance, socialism emerged as a new political theory, as a new political ideology. At that circumstance, socialism emerged as new political ideology. It was there to point out bad effects of the process of industrialization, bad effects of the process of industrialization. It was there to raise these issues, to pay attention of the public, right? However, before that, there were prominent philosophers such as Plato and Thomas More. Some political scientists, they identified their ideas and philosophies as seeds of socialism. Seeds. It means some political scientists, they believe that basic principles of socialism can be found from the philosophies of great Greek philosopher Plato's work and Thomas More's utopian ideas, right? However, they were not considered as much validity. That's in that part, their ideas, I mean, they spread some seeds which are relevant to socialism, but they were the philosophers like Plato and Thomas More, they are not considered as the father of socialism or prominent socio-political philosophers in the discipline of socialism, because their philosophical ideas were there. The whole philosophies were not committed to generate ideas which are called socialism, right? However, very few basic ideas were there among others, which are aligned with Plato and Thomas More's philosophies. Read the bullets. Socialist ideas linked to the development of a new class of industrial workers who suffered from the poverty and degradation that are so often a feature of early industrialization. Socialism and liberalism have common roots in the Enlightenment principles such as reason and progress. Because of the process of industrialization, socialism and liberalism emerged. The roots of socialism and liberalism were the same. They are the same roots. The process of industrial revolution created new class of industrial workers as well as newly emerged middle class or bourgeois class. We can say the process of industrialization established or created new social class, new social classes such as bourgeois class, or we can say very simply capitalist class. Then the other one is proletariat class. We can say simply the poor class, right? Rich and poor. In technically and terminology, it is they are called bourgeois class and the proletariat class, right? So then liberalism emerged to protect industrial revolution and the growth of industrial revolution. Socialism emerged to criticize industrial revolution or the process of industrial revolution. It was there to point out bad effects of the industrial revolution. However, both ideologies, liberalism and socialism, were based on two main factors. What is the first one? Reason. Like liberalism and socialism, they are based on the principle of reason. Without reason, the liberal thinkers or liberal theorists, they did not produce any concept. The other thing is progress. Both liberalism and socialism, they believed the socio-economic progress or social progress. Therefore, these two ideologies, liberalism and socialism, they are aligned with Enlightenment movement in Europe, right? If you have any questions, comments, or clarifications, now you can ask. So in the late 19th century, what was happened? What is the first bullet? Working class living conditions. The growth of trade unions, working class based political parties, social clubs, Russian Revolution of 1917, it was done by Bolsheviks in Russia. In the late 19th century, these are the factors which were caused to promote socialism. The first one is working class living conditions. Living condition of the working class was degrading day by day because the bourgeois class, or we can say factory owners or capitalists, the members of the capitalist class, they did not pay much attention. They did not pay considerable attention to the living condition of the working class. They did not pay enough attention to develop the living condition of the working class. What they wanted to do, they just wanted to have benefit. They just wanted to have profit. They just wanted to maximize their profit. They didn't care about living condition of the working class. The people, those who belong to working class, they were there in very small and poor houses. They were suffering there due to malnutrition, number of health issues, the issues which were caused by the urbanization, right? Therefore, the living condition of the working class was degrading day by day, day by day. Therefore, that social condition was helped to accept socialism as their political ideology. That social condition created good, fertilized soil for the acceptance of socialism. Then the second one is the growth of trade unions. In the late 19th century, the working class, the people, those who belong to working class, they gathered together, they organized well, then they formed their own unions, trade unions. We can find number of trade unions over there due to spreadness of trade unions in Europe helped to accept socialism in the late 19th century. Then further, working political parties were there. Many political parties, they were emerged over there. They were based on working class. Therefore, we can say number of political parties were there based on working class. Then those political parties accepted socialism as their political ideology. Then it became a major reason to spread socialism throughout the Europe. Apart from that, there were a number of social clubs, think tanks, reading circles. Then they studied socialism deeply, and finally they accepted socialism as their political ideology. That helped to the development of socialism in the late 19th century. The final and major event which was caused to the development and acceptance of socialism in the late 19th century, in the 19th century was Russian Revolution, which was taken place in 1917. It was done by Bolsheviks under the leadership of V.I. Lenin. Russian Revolution. Then after, very feudalistic country, very big and feudalistic country. At that time, it was ruled by Tsar. Russia was there under the leadership of Tsar and his family. Then Bolshevik, under the leadership of Lenin, they captured government power by the revolution with the support of proletariat class, which was led by urban laborers in urban labor class. Then after, Bolsheviks converted Russia as into the socialist country, but they followed Marx-Leninism, it's a major branch of socialism. These are the reasons behind the rapid spreadness of socialism throughout the Europe in 19th century. I think you can understand this. If you have any questions regarding these points, now you have the time to raise your voice. Any questions from your side? All are clear? Anything? Any clarification?
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay, now I'm continuing, right? Then there's a problem. Actually, according to socialist ideology, to have a social revolution or socialist revolution, the society must be divided into two groups, like bourgeois and the proletariat, right? Vast amount of national income or domestic income should be gathered. Least number of people which are belong to bourgeois class. Because of that, larger number of members which are belong to proletariat class, they do not have enough money or enough wealth. Due to that reason, they are suffering a lot. Because huge amount of the gross domestic product or GDP captured by the less or least number of members who belong to bourgeois class. That process should be grown off actually. It means the bourgeois, the people, those who belong to, who are the people, those who are in bourgeois class, they should have wealth. Then the proletariat, they should have nothing. The gap between bourgeois and the proletariat should be widened day by day. The gap between the bourgeois class and the proletariat class should be widened day by day, according to socialism. That type of thing might be happen at well industrialized country like England, especially according to Marx or Marxism. Karl Marx believed first socialist revolution might be taken place at the England, because England was the first country in the world attained industrial revolution where then England was the first country in the world achieved industrialized capitalism in the large scale. Therefore, Karl Marx personally believed, according to his theory, that socialist revolution might be taken place in England first. But up to now, we cannot see socialist revolution was taken place over there. There were two revolutions, but they are the liberal revolutions. They were the liberal revolutions. They are not the socialist revolution, right? According to Marxist theory, that gap between bourgeois and the proletariat should be widened day by day. The gap between proletariat and between bourgeois and the proletariat should be widened day by day like this. Then the pressure on proletariat class will be increased day by day. It will reach up to that end. One day, the proletariat will not tolerate. They will not tolerate. They will come out from the factories. Then they will organize their own methods. They will organize their own rallies. They will organize their own method of capturing the government power or industrial power, right? That process is called socialist revolution. To see the socialist revolution, the gap between the bourgeois and the proletariat must be widened. It must, according to Marxism. It must. But nowadays we can see Marxism and socialism in Asian continent, African continent, and Latin American continent without having that much of well development, without having that much of well developed industries in here. We know the situation in Sri Lanka and other countries in Asia. We know the situation in Latin America. We know the situation of African countries. Some of them are very poor still now, right? But we are talking about socialism. We can find socialist in here, right? Socialism in here. It is in here. So, how it was spread to the Asia, Latin American, and African countries. Socialism firstly emerged in European countries. Then after, it has been exported to the Asia, Africa, and Latin American continents by the time of colonial powers, because anti-colonial movements were in here, Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Gandhism movement, then in Sri Lanka leftist movement first. The people, they pushed against with colonial power. Then to fight with colonial power, they selected nationalism, and then they used the socialism. Sometimes they use these two as a combination, nationalism and socialism, in their freedom struggles. They use these two to fight with colonial powers. On that way, we got the experience of socialism. Sometimes, due to capitalism, due to the development of colonial capitalism, rich people, the members of bourgeois classes, they send their children to abroad. They send their children to the well-known European universities and schools to take higher education, to take higher degrees. Then those young men were studying there. They were imposed to the new ideas such as socialism. Then, while they were there and studying, they received influence from socialist thinkers, socialist writers, socialist speakers. Then they came back to Sri Lanka and other Asia, African, Latin American countries with those ideas. For example, Dr. N.M. Pereira in Sri Lanka, Colin Silva, then Dr. S.A. Vikramasinghe, then Julius Nyerere in Tanzania, Nkrumah in Ghana, Gandhi in India, Mahatma Gandhi in India, Sri Jawaharlal Nehru in India. They came back to their countries with these new ideas, most probably socialism. Some came to their own countries with new ideas which is related with nationalism and very innovative ideas like ahimsa. For example, Mohammed Karamchand Gandhi, right? Mahatma Gandhi. In that way, socialism came to Asian, African, and Latin American countries. Nkrumah in Ghana, Julius Nyerere in Tanzania. Right? Therefore, in that particular contest, without having that much of development, without having heavy industries or well developed heavy industries, without having huge gap between bourgeois class and the proletariat, the people, those who are in Asia, Africa, and Latin American continents, they were received opportunity to experience with socialism and socialist ideas. Any questions? Everything is clear for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, Dulhani, thank you. Then what are the bullets? Model of communism. Bolshevik model of communism was imposed on Eastern Europe after 1945 with the influence of USSR. You know what was happened in 1945, right? The World War was ended in 1945. Then after that, two blocks emerged. Two blocks. It means USA led capitalist bloc and USSR led Soviet bloc. The world was polarized into two groups, capitalism and the socialism. Right? Then these two groups started to fight with each other, but their fightings were in clandestine mode. Clandestine means secret mode. That fight was not in the surface level, so then it is called Cold War tension. Cold War tension. However, Soviet Russia, what they did, they influenced the neighboring countries to accept their mode of socialism. Then it is called Marx Leninism and Bolshevik model of communism. They asked two neighboring countries to accept their model of communism. Actually, they influenced them to accept their model of communism. By doing that, what they did, they established number of buffer states to protect the country of USSR. They established buffer states. Buffer states means, you know, the term buffer. In every week or many vehicles, they are having buffer. If there's accident, the buffer will crash first. With the same meaning, the USSR established buffer states around the USSR to protect the country. But the political and economic model of those buffer states were based on Bolshevik model of communism, right? Then, in that way, the many Eastern European countries, they were converted into socialism. They were converted into communism with the influence of USSR. So Union of Soviet Socialist and Republic, right? So this is the picture of Via Lenin. He was there addressing the people. Then what was happened in 1949? Actually, when 1935, Chinese people, they found their political party under the name of communism. It means Chinese Communist Party was founded or created in 1935. Then after they developed it, ultimately under the leadership of Chairman Mao Zedong in 1949, the Chinese Communist Party captured the government power or state power from the Kuomintang, which was led by Chiang Kai-shek, the nationalist government, right? Then they converted motherland China into People's Republic of China. They converted motherland China into Socialist China, People's Republic of China, under the leadership of Chairman Mao Zedong. Then 1953, North Korea turned to socialism. In 1975, Vietnam accepted socialism. Cuban Revolution was taken place in 1959 under the leadership of Fidel Castro, Raul Castro, and well-known revolutionist Che Guevara. Then new form of way of taking power was taken place in 1979, Nicaragua. It was done by Sandinista guerrillas. In Chile, in 1970, Salvador Allende, he was the first world leader. He was the first world socialist leader who came into power through the democratic revolution, democratic election. Therefore, Salvador Allende became the world's first, he was considered as the world's first democratically elected Marxist head of the state. But clandestinely, he was assassinated. So you can see this slide, you can understand by seeing this slide. After Second World War, the number of countries converted into socialist countries, they accepted the political socialism as their political ideology. They converted their systems, socio-political and economic systems, into socialism, right? Some of them nowadays, they are not fully following socialism. For example, People's Republic of China, Chinese political system, it's fully based on communism and socialism and Maoism, but its economic, it is based on economic liberalization policies which were introduced by Deng Xiaoping, the great leader, Deng Xiaoping. Then after China achieved huge economic growth under the policies of Deng Xiaoping, which was introduced in 1978. Then continuously, China is following number of new policies and programs under the new, I mean, on the base of economic liberalization. But Chinese economy is based on liberalization. Its political system is purely based on communism. So then we can say it has a hybrid system, political communism and economic liberalization. Socialism in colonial countries often based upon the anti-colonial struggles rather than the class struggles. The idea of class exploitation was replaced by the idea of colonial oppression. As I mentioned before, the colonial powers were in Asia, Africa, and Latin American continents. Then the people, those who were in these lands, they started national struggles or anti-colonial struggles against to their own colonial powers. For example, Great Britain, the France, the Belgium, Portuguese, and Dutch. They started their own anti-colonial struggles against to these colonial powers. While doing that, they accepted some sort of socialist principles, socialist beliefs. That's how some countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America absorbed socialism. For example, Sri Lanka can be pointed out. Then we can say the idea of class exploitation was replaced by the idea of colonial oppression. The idea of class exploitation was replaced by the idea of colonial oppression. Because we have received the beliefs of socialism or principles of socialism due to anti-colonial struggles, then we can say we got the socialism not the cause of class exploitation. It was because of colonial oppression. We can say it that way, right? Any questions, any comments, anything to add?
No, sir, it's clear, sir.
It's clear. Okay. I will post these videos to YouTube, then you can watch later on if you have free time, right? You can you can watch them and you can watch them again. Then you can find any questions or clarifications. Then the time is there to raise your voice. You can use WhatsApp group or you can do any phone call, asking any questions, right? Okay, then we have to talk about central themes of socialism. I think that's enough for today. We will continue tomorrow. That's how socialism came into exist as a prominent prominent political ideology. Anything from your side? Sandakumar Darshi and others?
Sir?
Anything, any questions, any clarification?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay, you can watch it first. Then if you find any questions, you can raise. You can use WhatsApp group to raise the questions, right?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Uh, Thank you very much for participation for everyone.